Today I wanted to show you Heroes, my Sword and Sorceress collection. They're anthologies of short stories, fantasies that all contain female main characters in them. Throughout the 80s and 90s, they were compiled and edited by Marion Zimmer Bradley. And then upon her death in 1999, I believe, it was continued by Elizabeth Waters, who was Bradley's secretary, and Diana Paxson, who was a co-author on Bradley's Avalon series. Now, whenever Marion Zimmer Bradley's name gets brought up, people get all upset because of the controversy around her. And yeah, it sounds like she was not a very good person. But just keep in mind that when you buy these books used, not a single penny of it is going to go to her estate. And anyways, any income that is made, like off of her ebook sales, gets donated to a charity that helps out abused children. So, you can purchase something like this without worrying about supporting anything bad. And in my personal opinion, the authors whose stories are contained within these, I don't think that their work should be buried just because of the actions of their editors. So I want to shine a light on them. Now, I'm obviously not going to give a rating to every single one of the stories in these. So I'll just talk about the whole series in general. When you pick up a Sword and Sorceress book, you're going to find the stories in them to be kind of a mixed bag, just like most short story anthologies you've read, I'm sure. Where you're going to have 3 or 4 of the stories are like total bangers, and then most of them will be like, oh, pretty good, and then there'll be 1 or 2, you'd rather have not been in there. So that's how it is. So these aren't ones that like I would ever go out of my way to try and collect the volumes that I'm missing. But it's been my experience that whenever you go into a used bookstore, they almost always have some of these for dirt cheap prices. So I've just always kept a little list on my phone of which volumes I have. And then when I go into a store, I don't grab the same ones I've got over again. So these are all ones I just randomly came across, not even trying to seek them out. That's how easy they are to find. So I'm going to change the camera angle and give you guys a little look at each of these. So this warrior princess, as I found, isn't actually part of the Sword and Sorceress series, but it's pretty much the same thing, and it was actually released by Daw as well. And see here, get things like Elizabeth Moon, right? Morgan Llewellyn, it's a good one. Mickey Zucker Reichert, she wrote the Renshai series. Jane Yolen wrote hundreds of novels. Megan Lindholm, that's another pen name of Robin Hobb. You may have heard of her. And the first one of the Sword and Sorceress I have is number 2. I don't have number 1, but it doesn't matter. They're all standalone, so whatever volume you have works just fine. And I got to hold it off to the side here so I can see what I'm looking at through the camera because I'm all hillbilly rigged here. But the cover art on these are all different artists, so I'm not going to point out who's who or whatever. But I'd say throughout the series, they're all pretty damn good looking. I mean, look at that one. It's stunning. If you can see a cover like that and not buy it for $1 or $2, you got better self-control than I do, let me tell you. So that's my kind of thing there. So I ain't going to show the contents of every one of these, but just maybe a couple of them to just show you generally what you can expect out of these. So you get a lot like C.J. Cherry, she's a heavy hitter. Charles Saunders, sword and sorcery fans are going to know him from his Imaro books. Jennifer Robertson, this is actually where I first discovered Robertson from and made me go out to find her Tiger and Dell series and the Chronicles of the Chasely. Charles DeLint. Yeah. Number 3. Let's see what we got in this one. Again, Jennifer Robertson, Elizabeth Moon. Again, that's another one. This is the first places that I saw Elizabeth Moon's writing, and made me want to go out and find her other longer fantasy and science fiction series. Mercedes Lackey, another Charles R. Saunders. So that's the kind of thing. It's you're going to have a few well-known fantasy authors in there, and then a bunch of lesser-known ones. But it does just because they're lesser known doesn't mean they're not good quality stories. Even in the later volumes, there's almost nobody I've ever heard of before, and I still find stories in them that are still pretty good. So that's number 4. Number 5. These are kind of nice to have on hand when you just want a quick little 20-page short story to burn through easily. 6. Oh yeah. Something about mirrors. I love mirrors and images like that on fantasy stories. 7. Fantasy is kind of known for having big 800-page chonkers, but I really feel like short stories are an excellent format for fantasy. They're just it really gets to a nice, quick, short to the point story. 9. 11. Another cool. I like that one. Anything with mirrors like that. That's cool. 12. A little dark. I like it. 13. 14. That's a cool pose they painted there. I like that. 15. We're in the chainmail. There is a similar kind of feminist themed series to this I've seen called Chicks in Chained Males. I don't know about that. That's kind of sounds like not my thing, but 16. This is actually a Michael Whalen cover. I know a lot of you guys out there are insta buys on anything with a Michael Whalen cover. I know because I'm one of them. That's nice. 17. It's kind of a different art style, unique from the other ones. 18. That's another Michael Whalen. Beautiful. And the third and last Michael Whalen one I have. Probably my least favorite of his, but geez, even his weaker ones are still pretty good. Dude was a legend. 20. And my 18th and final one, number 21. So yeah, you stumble across these is pretty cool. So I will see you feminist heroes on our next adventure.